My journey to my favorite pre-workout. Now, when it comes to looking for a good workout, when it comes to looking, when it comes to looking for a good pre-workout, what are you looking for? Is it energy? Is it pump? Are you trying to get a little bit of a thrill? Are you trying to get like pumped up and amped up for it? Do you like the tingly sensation that some of those pre-workouts provide? Or are you somebody that's more naturalistic, pure, something that's going to be actually good for you, not necessarily something that's going to make you feel like you're on crack? Not that I've ever done it, but you know what I mean. And there's also benefits to eating something that's more natural, something that's more rooted in food, like a whole food or a derivative of whole food. And by that, I mean something that's dehydrated. It's not in its full form, but it is. You just got to add water to it because it's dehydrated. I'm talking a lot, but this one. Oh, hold on. But when it comes to the best pre-workout, what makes it the best pre-workout? Now, I think to each person, there's going to be something that they're looking for. When I was younger, this is going to age me a bit, but for those of you who know about NO Explode, remember NO Explode? When it first hit the market, it exploded, for lack of a better pun. It was something that everybody was taking, and if you weren't taking it, you were trying to figure out like how to get it. And then I believe it was in 2008 or 2009, it got reformulated. And when it got reformulated, it wasn't as good. Why wasn't it as good? It's because whatever sketchy stuff they put in there became illegal. And I believe it was something more related to cocaine than it was to caffeine. And, it's a gray, fuzzy area between that, but you know what I mean. So I took that for about 2 to 3 years, right? And I think all my friends were on that stuff or something very similar to it. And it was the best. You got all tingly, you got great pumps, you had great energy. You felt like you could run through brick walls, right? It was like the ultimate freaking pump. And then it disappeared off the market because it got reformulated and it wasn't as good. So I then got a partial scholarship to play football. And so they did some random drug tests. And so I was trying to be as cognitive of that as possible. And so I started looking for something that was more pure, more natural in some ways. So I started taking this, and it was like nitric oxide pills, and they were from Germany. Like the label was in German. I got them through a legal means, not illegally, but legally. And there was no stimulant associated with it. It was just nitric oxide. So NO Explode had nitric oxide plus like some crazy unknown stimulant, unless you were a chemist or a bioengineer, would you be able to understand what was in there? Which I was neither. And so I started taking nitric oxide with creatine. And again, creatine is not a stimulant. But I noticed my pumps were good and my strength was excellent. So I continued with that for a period of time. And I started noticing that creatine, people hype it up and they talk it down. I think it's good for some, but not so good for others. It's good for those that want to just be stronger, but it's not going to make you more athletic because it makes you hold a lot of water. Now, each person is going to vary as far as like how much water retention each person is going to experience. Of course, it matters on your dosage and your body type, your DNA, I guess, if you will, like how your body reacts to the creatine. But I did notice there was a strength increase pretty quickly. I mean, within a month, if not less than that, I noticed higher gains than I was before. But I was also at the age where you would notice that. I was 19 years old, and that's typically when you start seeing your strength really climb because your body's done growing. As far as like your bone your bones stop growing, so now your physical body is able to build upon itself. Instead of building upward, it's like building outward now. So it was kind of like right in between that area. So I don't really know which is which, but I later took creatine probably 4 years ago. And again, I noticed the same thing. So I got stronger quicker, but the water retention wasn't worth it. And I noticed like a little bit of a sluggishness in me that wasn't there. And I also started getting, which I never got before, which was plantar fasciitis. I noticed that the creatine was putting more strain on my muscles and more specifically on my feet. And so I never had this issue before. And so I started rolling out my feet, and it still kind of like became a problem. So I just 86'd it, got rid of it. For those of you that like it, I think it's good for bodybuilding, but it's not good for athletes. My personal opinion, I'm a scientist in the sense of I study the stuff that I take and I consume, and I take record of what happens to my body. Is it worth it? Is it valuable? Is it doing what I think is beneficial for the result that I want? And is it going to be something that I could take long term? Is there any harm to taking it long term too? Those are all things I kind of factor into as I go. And remember, science is the study of. So technically, anyone that's studying something is a scientist in their own right. Now, your quality of science depends on how quality of a test you put out. So there's a lot of different factors you can put into it, and it's hard to isolate specific things unless you only change one variable, right? And for the most part, that's what I was doing as I was going on. And the variable was just pre-workout. Like, which one is better? And better by me was something that was going to give me energy. I didn't really care as much for pump, but I wanted strength and endurance. So all those things were more important to me. It became less about the aesthetic and more about the purpose and the function. And I believe aesthetic is like pretty weak. If you're going for aesthetic, it's limiting your ability to be functional. And so and people want to argue that all the time. But the bottom line is, when you throw a bodybuilder in the boxing ring, they can't move like a boxer. Yeah, they're big and strong, but they have a lot of mass to move around, and muscle holds a lot of water, and it's unnecessary. It looks like it's dangerous, and it can be when it lands, but it's not fluid. It's very awkward. So I'm all about form and function over aesthetic. You could look like a lion, but you could dress up in a lion's costume, but that doesn't mean you're a lion. You know what I mean? Back to the pre-workout thing. Okay, so then I got injured. I kind of fast forward. Then I got injured, and I wanted to lose weight quickly because I wanted to get to a healthy weight where I could be quick, fast, and explosive and change my position in football. So I was playing defensive end. In my mind, I was thinking if I played linebacker, I wouldn't have to be as big, and I could focus on speed, and I wouldn't have to carry as much weight, which would put more weight would put more strain on the knee that I had injured. And I figured if I had less weight on my knee, the healthier and faster I could be. So that was my thought process behind that. And I did lose weight pretty quickly. I was so determined. I didn't eat, and I changed my complete supplementation regime. I got rid of the Cyto Gainer. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. If you guys remember Cyto Gainer, that stuff had if I remember correctly, I took 4 scoops, maybe 8 scoops a day, 4 in the morning and 4 at night. And I want to say it was close to 4,000 calories. 4,000 calories. With milk, of course. It was right around 4,000 calories. So that's what I was taking. That stuff is trash. Don't recommend it. There's so much filler, so much nonsense in there. But I was young and I didn't really know. But now I know. So I wouldn't encourage anybody to start there, but if you're like me, you gotta learn the hard way sometimes. So once I started getting more clean, I started just doing caffeine. Started with green tea. I hated coffee at first. Started with green tea. And green tea was just enough of a bump for me to get going. I was like, you know what? I have the discipline already. I don't need I don't need a stimulant to keep me going. I just needed something to kind of give a little jump in the run. You know what I mean? So it's like when you put high octane fuel in your gas tank, your car's gonna react a little quicker. That's exactly what I wanted. And to me, caffeine was just enough. Then I later developed probably when I was 25, I fell in love with coffee because that was the only thing that would keep me up past 2 a.m, working night shift at a hospital. So coffee became my new favorite drink. And I just started doing that because that wired me perfectly. And I felt like the workouts were good. And to me, it was cleaner than anything I knew, which may or may not have been true. Because, coffee could have some additives that you don't know, depending on the type and brand of coffee you get. which is good to know where it comes from, how it's processed, if it's organic or not, and what does it mean to be organic or not, and what's the benefit? Like what's in there that's actually quality. So yeah, there's like a coffee in Africa where they take cat shit and then they ferment it for like 30 days and they turn that into coffee, and that's a delicacy. To me, that's trash, but hey, to each their own. So then, COVID hits. Boom, COVID hits, no gym. I turned into a sluggard. I gained like 50, maybe 60 pounds. I get really overweight, really massive. And I'm like, dude, this is bad. Plus all the gyms in my area were closed. I was working out in my apartment and I was pissing off everyone around me because I was making a lot of noise. So my neighbors would complain and I'm like, look, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And if you're like me, I'm like a wild horse. I cannot be confined in one area for too long. I have to stay moving. And so eventually started doing outdoor workouts and by the pool once the ordinance allowed people to go back into the pool, which is kind of silly, but I'm not here to debate that. So once I got back in the pool, once they opened up the pool for everyone, then I was able to like get back into a routine, and I started taking this pre-workout called Naked. And I don't know how I stumbled upon it, but I got it on Amazon. It was pretty decent priced. And the ingredients were simple. It was like 5 ingredients, but it wasn't all natural stuff. It was just like simple stuff. So I had like caffeine and then like a little bit of creatine and a few, I don't know, electrolytes or something. I'll put it up right here. But it was good. And then I took it for maybe 3 or 4 months. And then Amazon had it discontinued for a period of time. And so I jumped ship and it led me to this guy. So this one is the Organic Muscle Superfood Pre-Workout. And I've been on it for over 3 years now, and I love it. I've changed flavors from lemon berry. I forgot what the other one was. I think it's like, I can't remember. There's 2 that are really good. This is one of them that I really like. Yeah. This one does have a little bit of a stimulant to it. It's got 150 milligrams of caffeine, and it has 4 primary like groups. 3 of them are functioning, in my opinion. So you got the energy, focus, and stamina, which is 1, circulation and pump, which is 2, metabolic boost, which is 3, and then natural flavoring. Okay, great. That's really no benefit other than you know what's in there. It doesn't just say natural flavors. It says strawberry jam flavor, organic lemon flavor, organic Lujan Go berry extract, organic berry flavor. Great. So it's pretty clear as what's in there. And this gives me all the energy I need. And it's not like a rise to a crash. It's a and you're soaring. And you could, if you take it before, 4 to 6 hours before you want to go to bed, you might have some trouble. But if you work out hard like I do, it shouldn't be a problem. You'll kind of burn it off as you train. You're gonna feel wonderful. You're as long as your diet is consistent and you're eating quality food and you supplement, right? Keyword supplement this pre-workout into your regime, you're gonna find a magical flow of gains, strength, endurance, and your body's gonna react well to it. So I like it because it's good stuff. It's real food. So why I like Organic Muscle? I mean, the name is interesting, but it's also organic. And for some of you, like, oh, organic doesn't really matter. Well, if you don't think organic matters, then if you look at the food spectrum and understand how there's organic versus inorganic, yes, they do use pesticides on organic food, but pesticides on organic food aren't dangerous for us. They're dangerous for the pests. The pesticides that they use in inorganic food are dangerous for everyone. They're rooted in some of the worst poison. I mean, what is it? What is that? Orange. Gosh, what is it called? Vietnam War, they used something. I can't remember what it's called, but it was like liquid flame thrower stuff. That fluid is the same fluid that they used because there was an abundance made for the war, but they converted it into pesticide, which is crazy. So it became a weapon of war against our opponent and enemy, and then it became a weapon against its own people. You think I'm kidding? Look it up. Now, the other thing is, Organic is better for the environment, and people want to act like it doesn't have an effect, and they say organic farming is not as efficient or effective, which I argue completely against. There's plenty of studies to show that organic is actually more beneficial, not only in crop yield, but in also the environment around it. You're not going to worry about runoff of pesticides or herbicides or any heavy metals leaking into the groundwater that is then dangerous for the people that drink the water in the area. So anyway, go organic any way you can. But that's it. Link is included down below. Check it out. But a little bonus here. So here are some other things that it's composed of. Now it's got 1 gram of protein, which is like really nothing. But it's got 5 milligrams of vitamin C, 1 microgram of vitamin K, 5 micrograms of folate, 13 milligrams of calcium, 7 milligrams of phosphorus, 4 milligrams of magnesium, and 10 milligrams of sodium, and 55 milligrams of potassium. So there's a little bit of a kick. And if you really want to get a pump, just add a little bit of sea salt on top, and then that'll help fill in your pump, get a little pump going. So add a little bit of salt on top, you'll be good. Unless you have hypertension, of course, and you'd want to avoid that thing. But anyway, that's it. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. See you on the next one. Peace.